Well, my name is Chris McPhee, and I help people get more of what they want out of their business. And I do that by helping them implement a complete and proven system using simple, practical tools to help them achieve three things we call vision, traction, and healthy. And I'm here today with Steve Fylypchuk, who is a business broker with Murphy Business Sales. So, Steve, welcome. Let's jump right into it. And my first question is, give me your 30-second elevator pitch. What do you do for your customers? What problems do you solve, or what values do you provide?
Okay, sure, Chris. So I'm a business broker. I help people sell their business. What I'm doing is helping them exit from the business that they have now, hopefully successfully with a nice payout, and help them move to that next chapter of their life, whether that's retirement or maybe another business, maybe relocation. That's what I do.
So, what kind of trigger event or what causes a business to be interested in reaching out to you in the first place?
Well, the simplest might be retirement. They get to that certain age, or sometimes it's not so much older, but they've accumulated enough money. They want to settle down. Retirement is always a big one. It might be relocation. They might decide they want to pick up and move to another city, another province, another country. They've got a burning passion to try something new, and so they want to move on to that. And it's difficult to put all their effort into that while they still have their first business. On the negative side, unfortunately, sometimes it might be something like a divorce or partner issues. That can also be a reason why someone might call me and ask me about selling their business.
Okay. And so when they've made that decision to reach out and talk to you, what makes you unique? What sets you apart from other alternatives that they might have for selling their business?
Well, obviously, one alternative is always just simply selling it on their own, which leads to a number of issues. You might be very good at selling widgets, but how many people have ever sold a business? And there are a lot of moving parts. So just that expertise in using a broker in itself has many advantages. When it comes to myself versus some of my competition, well, I would argue that not everybody is as qualified. It's not hard to just hang up a shingle one day and say, I'm a business broker. I can help you sell your business. But not everyone has studied business, has a Bachelor of Commerce like I do. Not everyone has actually bought a business, operated it for several years, and then successfully sold it. And then there's simply just education and learning how to be a good business broker. So I'm a member of the International Business Brokers Association. And from there, I've earned my Certified Business Intermediary designation. It isn't something necessarily recognized by a government organization. However, it is our industry's main group, the IBBA's main designation. And it's not so much the letters behind my name as it is the education, what I went through to get that, and the continuing education. Because even when you first get your CBI, it's only good for 3 years. And if you don't continue on with being in the industry and actually taking action, and also with the education, it will expire. There are only 2 or 3 CBIs in Calgary. And then there's my franchise. We have approximately 185 offices, give or take, 250 brokers, which provides me with a huge group to lean on for support, never mind the ongoing training from there. And something that Murphy gives us an advantage with is simply exposure to the market with our clients' businesses. When we go to market as a Murphy business broker, I use about 10 different websites. That's one of our main ways of advertising business. And I can tell you categorically that other brokers won't do that because each one costs money. But through Murphy, they've organized a deal with several websites, and that allows us to get at that access without that excessive cost. And that's a concrete example of something I can do that some of my competitors cannot.
And so once an individual has made a decision to work with you, can you walk me through what the process looks like? What does it look like when they want to sell their business with you?
Sure. First step is for me to get to know the business. I'm going to look at the financials, learn a little bit about how the business is run, that sort of thing, the organizational chart, how long it's been around. And I'm going to come back to that seller with what I think is a reasonable asking price or a price range for the business. Assuming we can come to an agreement on that, that's when I'm actually hired. I'm going to gather more information that goes beyond just the financials. I'll put together a marketing package. From there, I do so anonymously, meaning I don't identify the business. I'm only going to give those key points of information that will hopefully attract the right buyer, but doesn't actually reveal which business I'm trying to sell. The inquiries will come in. I will get buyers to sign an NDA and ask some more information about that particular buyer, trying to qualify them to a certain degree. And then I'll release the actual confidential information memorandum that I prepared for the business. All goes well, they like what they read. That will lead to a few more questions, buyer-seller meeting, maybe a tour of the business, and hopefully an offer. I will mediate that deal. And in most cases, we are just like that one business broker that has put that business on the market is usually just the only person who's the agent and brokering the deal. If we come to an agreement, we go through due diligence. That's when we get the lawyers involved and have them prepare an asset purchase agreement or a share purchase agreement. And we work towards that finish line. If due diligence is good, the contract is finalized and signed, conditions are waived, loans are approved, that sort of thing, we have a deal. From then, money changes hands, keys change hands, and the transition period begins.
Thank you for walking through that. My last question is, what's next for you and your business?
Well, a lot of people would probably answer that question with growth or expanding in one way or another. To have a similar answer, although I'm not looking, for example, to start to move my business to grow it geographically. I focus a lot on Calgary, Alberta, although I can do businesses out of province. Most of it is here. But what I discovered, for example, last year was one of my best years. I did a lot of deals, and it was good on every front, but it was very busy. What I'm starting to do is to increase my average deal size and decrease the number of deals I do in a year. It's not something you can just flip a switch with, but right now, even some of my newer engagements for this year, I can already see that average value rising, and I'm trying to be more selective and sometimes just saying no to some of those smaller deals.
That's great. I appreciate you going through that with me today and wish you all the best.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.